Hello, thank you for your viewing of this presentation. This is the Virtues of Multiple POEs, an interior design case study. My name is Jill Pable. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Interior Design in Florida State University.
Hello, my name is Kenan Fishburne. I'm an assistant professor of interior design at Florida State University. This interior design research was based on changes that we made to a family homeless shelter, and this room that we used demonstrated the value of multiple POEs for our case study.
The points we wish to present here revolve around the fact of conducting POEs, that is, multiple post-occupancy evaluations on complex architectural design projects. Because these projects are often complex, we feel that the design criteria that makes projects successful are themselves complex and diverse, and therefore may require more than one review. An initial focused POE that examines user suitability may show promise of great assistance, but it may also be prone to other operational problems over time if it's the only one that's conducted. A second POE that addresses the project over the passage of time can affect project success in ways that a sole assessment cannot reveal.
Now, this particular presentation reveals how the use of multiple POEs strategically captured data on both the user perceptions, those that were in the room, and the project operational context for a case study that we conducted in this family homeless shelter bedroom.
The nature of POEs are not simple. Although POEs are an increasingly common activity that can help determine the success of an installed project, the use of multiple POEs in this case study that we will share with you allowed us as researchers to acknowledge and explore diverse criteria that we believe truly captured the complex and sometimes competing realities that can result when a project is completed.
One of the most interesting things is that there are competing goals that are often revealed through POE studies, particularly through the multiple one that we are showing you. These goals are based often on how users will have a different goal from original project goals, and that these have to be considered. Many times these goals can differ from the original budget of the project, the schedule, or the funding goals of the project. So now what we want to talk about is the process that we used for these two POEs and how we administered them.
The methodology of the first case study and the POE that resulted from it was a family bedroom in a homeless shelter, and our expansion of it by adding items to its existing space, specifically 18 enhancements that provided enhanced storage, organization, and opportunities for display of personal objects by residents. That's what you see in the middle of the screen here. The bottom left-hand image is a contrasting room that was just down the hall from the existing room that had no enhancements added to it and was, for the purpose of the case study, used as a control.
And as far as methodology, the first POE time period and procedure that we used is that we used the enhanced room, or created the enhanced room, and it was in our study of the residents and how they related to it, took place over a 3-month period after the first resident family moved in. At the same time, another family inhabited the control room, and we also interviewed them as well. These POEs were conducted by interview, site visits, and photographs of the rooms, and resulted in 15 hours of interview time, 12 site visits to the 2 rooms, and 8 room visits where we took photographs.
The first case study initial POE results indicated overall that the residents that lived in the enhanced room experienced increased user well-being over a number of different criteria.
Further findings as we got further along based on that first POE was that the enhanced room, basically we found that there were some heightened sense of personal control, reduced a sense of crowding without altering the room square footage, and that this room, the enhanced one, was preferred over the control room.
Some actionable results that came from our first POE and its analysis helped us determine that not all the enhancements worked as well as others. For example, the photo you see here on the left shows the enhanced room and one of the 4 bunk beds. The blue striped cover was an elasticized cover we thought would help the bed to be used as a bed or as a sofa during the day. However, the residents found it was way too hard to get on and off and decided that it was not the best use of their time and energy. The assessment suggested that the replication of this design as a whole would really require further review.
So I think you would then say that we called for a second POE of this space, and that our goal for that second POE was to effectively cross over from the theoretical realm of researching what was working to the real realm by addressing the questions of budget, how much the enhancements were going to cost, construction, and then scheduling any kind of replication possibilities that we might want to do. So the second POE was designed to broaden the study participants to include more would-be residents, case managers, and shelter directors or different stakeholders so that we could determine more of the feasibility issues that we had to deal with.
So, for the methodology of the second POE, once again we return to the first POE shelter space to revisit and assess again the state of the enhanced room. We looked at photos, we took photos of the space, and we showed photos of the originally enhanced room to additional stakeholders in other shelter types in other places to broaden the data gathering and gather a lot of different points of view on this.
So for this second POE time period and the procedure, we conducted this 2 years later with 22 further individuals at 4 other locations in Florida. 20 hours of face-to-face interview were conducted, and one of the significant methods is we also included participant written ranking of those room enhancements when we showed photographs of them that were taken of that original enhanced room.
The initial findings of the second POE were fairly striking. Recall that there is 22 months of time passage from the first POE to the second. After hosting only 4 to 8 families during that time, our enhanced room showed that about 75% of the enhancements were gone. Some enhancements had been removed and then never replaced. Some had been removed for painting and had never been put back in the room, and others had been stolen. The images that you see here, the one that's in the middle of the screen, shows how the shelves were used for other objects later, but the image at the upper left of the screen was right after it was installed, and you see 10, 20 storage bins that all had been taken by the time had passed.
So the actionable results from this second POE allowed us to see several things. Additional residents provide very valuable information to us and feedback on the enhancement items, most of which was very positive. As a matter of fact, they added additional ideas that we had not thought of that they felt would be great enhancements. The case managers who work with the rooms on a daily basis as well as the residents, they were very enthusiastic generally on most of the enhancements, but they were extremely concerned about issues of damage, clutter, and of course security, which we discovered early on with the theft issue, that the enhanced items might pose. And finally, the shelter directors were generally positive, but they had to be guarded because they were concerned about the cost of the enhancements, how long it would take to get things done, and they were finding funding problems with their operating funds being reduced.
So, a discussion of this entire dual POE process led to a number of things that were really salient to us. First of all, if you look at the passage of time from 3 months after completion to 22 months, we learned a great deal that would not have been possible had we not undertaken the second POE with allied and yet different objectives in it. Secondly, it really caused us to greatly reorganize our priorities were we to go forward, and we intend to go forward, with replicating this bedroom now that we understood more of what the time passage actually implied for us.
Because the time passage really showed the problem of theft, and we had an opportunity to talk to the case managers, we realized how important that was going to be to emphasize as we dealt with further enhancements down the road. And the other interesting thing was the fact that the directors were so concerned about the amount of money it would cost in a shrinking economy that we had great discussions with them about how we could appeal to donors to prompt funding for particular enhancements or things that we thought that we could suggest to them. So truly we discovered that to fully assess a project like this and whether it is successful, both the user and the project goals must be discovered and integrated.
These sorts of thoughts brought to our attention, some thoughts on future research. For example, what could be learned from larger or even more complex project than the one we just described that both immediate and a later POE study could reveal? That is, we feel that multiple POEs can be of great help to projects of many different sizes and descriptions. And other related questions too: who should be conducting these POEs? And to what purposes should they be pressed?
We'd like to leave you with a final thought that I think was a little inspiring to us as we went about this multiple POE idea. And that was that Stuart Brand, in his book, How Buildings Learn, written in 1995, he explains that the effect of time is underestimated as a change agent, and that the built environment adapts best when constantly refined and reshaped by occupants. And we feel that the multiple POE process truly reflects that issue.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.